It's official. RFK Jr. is running for president as an independent. And on Tuesday, March 26th, he will announce his choice for who will be his running mate. Right now, Kennedy is running as the heir to the Kennedy Family Dynasty. He is running on the nostalgia of the 1960s and the myth of Camelot. But unlike his father and two uncles who ran for president before him, Kennedy has no political record. He has never served in an elected office. This being said, who he chooses as his running mate will have an unusual effect on the ticket. If he picks an established politician, he will gain political legitimacy. If he picks a liberal or a progressive, he will solidify his lane as an alternative to Biden. If he picks a conservative or a libertarian, he becomes more of an alternative to Donald Trump. And if he picks someone independent or unheard of, he basically keeps his current lane with a ceiling around 12 to 15% nationally. The question is, who will he choose? Let's analyze the shortlist and discuss.
Hey everybody, you probably heard by now that I'm about to announce my running mate, the person who will serve as my vice president. Those press reports got some of the details wrong, but on March 26th in Oakland, I'm going to straighten it all out. I'm going to announce that day an extraordinary running mate who's going to be my partner in governance. I can't tell you who it is right now, but I can tell you that I could not possibly have found a better partner for governing this country. And I'll give you another hint. This announcement is really going to shake up the political establishment. I'd love for you to join me in Oakland to welcome this dynamic individual into our campaign. We're about to take my campaign to a whole new level.
First up, we have Tulsi Gabbard. Electorally, this would probably be the best option for RFK Jr.'s running mate. As a fellow former Democrat with America First appeal, she fits his current lane. She is staunchly anti-foreign wars, but progressive enough on the social issues. Unfortunately for Kennedy, Gabbard has pretty good political instincts. She's been in talks with Trump potentially to join his administration if re-elected, and has even been named as a potential running mate to President Trump. Gabbard is not going to throw away her potential to join the Trump administration, a real opportunity to instead be a running mate for some long shot third-party independent campaign. For this reason, I think she is off the table. Another person being considered is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Paul is another staunchly anti-war politician. He also led the anti-vax charge in the Senate. Rand is a libertarian-minded Republican, focused on limited government, and his father, Ron Paul, ran as the Libertarian candidate for president back in 1988. Rand even himself briefly ran for president as a Republican in 2016 before endorsing Trump. This cycle, Rand has yet to make a final endorsement for president, instead adopting the public stance of being never Nikki and simultaneously endorsing both Trump, RFK, DeSantis, and Vivek. This means Rand Paul isn't a definite no on endorsing RFK as of yet, but it doesn't seem that likely. Picking Rand Paul would instantly grant RFK the political legitimacy he needs. If the three-term Republican senator joins the ticket, it would boost RFK with Republicans and Libertarians, maybe even getting him access to the Libertarian ballot line in November. But is Rand Paul willing to paint such a large political target on his back? I don't think so. In all likelihood, Rand will probably support Trump in November, just as he did in 2016 and 2020. It's not impossible for Rand Paul to join forces with RFK Jr., but it sure as heck isn't likely. Next up, we get to what might be the most interesting name as a potential running mate, and that is former Minnesota governor and Reform Party politician Jesse Ventura. Having been one of the only third-party governors in modern times, Ventura definitely adds some legitimacy to RFK's presidential bid. Minnesota is a state that has been quite receptive to third parties in the past. Democrats actually have a strange situation in Minnesota as they run under the Democratic Farmer Labor Party instead of just the Democrat Party. This is because the old Farmer Labor Party was so successful in the past, Democrats had no choice but to merge with them in order to compete with Republicans. In 2016, Minnesota was far closer than expected and almost went to Trump because of how many votes went to Jill Stein's Green Party bid for president. Now in 2024, not only is Jill Stein running with the Green Party once again, but Cornel West is running as a pro-Palestine and pro-BLM independent, appealing to the large Muslim population in the state. And now RFK, if he chooses the former Minnesota governor, would also be able to swing a significant portion of the Minnesota vote. With this ticket in particular, RFK would actually be in play to win Minnesota, where a ceiling could be as low as 33% to win. The problem with Ventura is that he's been out of politics since 2003 and would likely struggle with disaffected young voters, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. If anything, Jesse Ventura is a dark horse candidate for vice president in 2024. On the youth front, another highly speculated running mate option is Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is a truly unorthodox pick, as Rodgers has never been involved in politics. Rodgers has been openly critical of COVID lockdown policies as well as the COVID jab, and has mocked Travis Kelce for his Vax commercial. Aaron Rodgers has endorsed Kennedy for 2024 and has met with him privately on several occasions. Rodgers does, however, have an NFL season to play in the fall, and would be ineffective as a running mate and an active NFL star. He could announce his retirement from the NFL, but no one is expecting that right now, and why would he do that for such a long-shot campaign? He has no political history and brings little to the campaign other than formerly playing for the Green Bay Packers in the battleground state of Wisconsin. While the choice may excite Packers and Jets fans, mostly younger men, it does not seem to add much to the ticket. Rodgers may serve as a campaign surrogate, but his name appearing on the shortlist is most likely a red herring, meant to draw attention away from the real choice. In a similar boat, we have Tony Robbins. Robbins is a motivational speaker and life coach who, again, has no political experience. While he may be someone who could bring inspirational speeches to the campaign trail, and he may have some big name recognition among his fans, the question of his own political stances and how they line up with Kennedy's seems to be pretty much unknown. Choosing someone like Robbins would lead Kennedy's campaign to ultimately seem less serious than it already is. Andrew Yang, on the other hand, is someone who has a political history, albeit an unsuccessful one, but would bring an interesting energy to the campaign. Yang ran for president unsuccessfully in 2020 and then entered a bid for New York City mayor, which he also came up short in. He then left the Democratic Party and founded the Forward Party instead. The Forward Party was dedicated to making third parties more viable in the United States, primarily advocating for ranked choice voting. Yang, on the other hand, is most commonly known for his support for universal basic income. When it comes down to it, Yang is a far-left politician who presents himself as a moderate who talks about working-class families and Main Street over Wall Street. Yang joining the ticket would solidify Kennedy as being left of center, attracting more progressives who were disaffected with Biden to the campaign and scaring away disaffected Republicans. Yang brings out the true RFK, a progressive with some populist tendencies, but not a conservative. Unfortunately, I find it unlikely that this will be the ticket solely based on one of RFK's most important issues: vaccines. To my knowledge, Yang has supported Biden's COVID policies and promoted the vax, a likely non-starter for Kennedy. This leaves us with a name that is both getting a lot of attention and getting no attention at the same time, and that is Nicole Shanahan. It is being reported that this is Kennedy's leaked running mate, who will be announced on the 26th. Now, who is Nicole Shanahan? I have no idea. Nobody knows who this woman is. She's the ex-wife of Sergey Brin, a co-founder of Google. She has a degree in Asian Studies, Economics, and Mandarin Chinese from the University of Puget Sound, and a law degree from Santa Clara University. Other than that, she's been a noted philanthropist and donated $4 million to a super PAC supporting Kennedy for president. Rewarding a donor with the VP slot doesn't sound very man of the people-like to me, but I'm also skeptical that this is the true choice. If I were in Kennedy's shoes, I'd be chasing after a libertarian-minded Republican running mate, or someone like Tulsi Gabbard, maybe Andrew Yang, not a low-profile philanthropist. But who knows, maybe the real name is yet to appear and will shock us all. Most people think RFK's choice in running mate is unimportant, but I disagree. The way Kennedy is currently positioning himself appears to have a base that is about 60% Democrat and 40% Republican, meaning he hurts Biden more than he hurts Trump. RFK's running mate, no matter who they are, will not be a perfect mirror image of Kennedy. They will affect the ticket in one way or another. If Kennedy chooses Ventura, it will maximize his support in the state of Minnesota, which has traditionally been a good state for third parties, as well as give him more credibility with the legacy pro-reform voters. It wouldn't do much else besides lead to a possible argument over COVID blowing up the campaign, and also make the ticket appear very old and white, something RFK is looking to avoid. Overall, Ventura doesn't help the ticket that much with either side, but it does give Kennedy a possible weak point with his own base. If he picks Aaron Rodgers, it will embolden the DeSantis base, who is still resisting Donald Trump, to go and support RFK. These people who are largely fixated on Fauci 4 years later still want to punish Trump for not firing Fauci. Rodgers helps make the Kennedy ticket more of a Trump spoiler. He would also help Kennedy with younger male voters, especially in the state of Wisconsin. If RFK somehow were to get Senator Rand Paul to join the ticket, it would have the same effect as Rodgers, but multiplied, winning over DeSantis' base, but in this case, lending RFK even more credibility, especially with libertarian Republicans. This would really tip the scales of RFK hurting Trump far more than hurting Biden, and would help him win over the libertarian base, possibly getting him the Libertarian Party nomination and ballot line. RFK picking Rand Paul is the worst case scenario for Trump, but is also the most unlikely scenario from this list. I don't think it's going to happen, because if they were picking Rand Paul, they would not be making this announcement in California of all places. I highly doubt he's picking Rand Paul for vice president, because I don't think Rand Paul wants to be Kennedy's vice president. Lastly, if Kennedy picks Yang or Shanahan, that is the best case scenario for Donald Trump. We want RFK to tie himself to a progressive running mate, because it will make it so much harder for DeSantis supporters to vote for RFK. It will make it even easier to tie RFK to the green agenda and race reparations, two policies that Kennedy supports, albeit covertly. Kennedy is much more radical on certain left-wing issues than his campaign makes him out to be, and picking a progressive running mate will make that fact even more obvious. If Kennedy brands himself with a progressive running mate, he then joins Cornel West and Jill Stein in offering an alternative to Biden for disaffected progressive voters, an alternative with extremely high name recognition and an actual chance at making an impact in the race. As I film this now, we do not yet know who that choice is going to be. We do not yet know how it will affect the race. But I'll tell you this, who he chooses will impact whether or not RFK is a serious player in 2024. My money is on that it's going to weaken his campaign, but we're going to have to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share the video with a friend. It helps out the channel so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and God bless.
It's going to be only America first. America first.